Close your eyes for a moment. Not just a quick flutter, but a deliberate, gentle closing. Allow the darkness to be a canvas. Now, I want you to travel back in time, not as a spectator, but as the person you were then. Find a moment in your life when a door you were desperately pushing against slammed shut in your face. A moment when a path you had mapped out with painstaking detail crumbled into an abyss. It could have been the job that represented your entire professional identity, the one you sacrificed evenings and weekends for, only to receive a cold, generic rejection email. It might have been the relationship you believed was your forever, a universe you built with someone that vanished in a conversation that lasted less than 10 minutes. Perhaps it was a creative project, a business venture, a piece of your very soul that you offered to the world, only to be met with silence, indifference, or failure. Feel it again just for a moment. The physical sensation. The tightening in your chest like a fist squeezing your lungs. The hollow pit in your stomach. The heat rising to your face. The frantic, circular thoughts in your mind. Why? What did I do wrong? What does this say about me? In that moment, failure felt absolute. It wasn't just an event, it was an identity. It was a verdict delivered by the universe, and the sentence was, "You are not enough." Now take a slow, deep breath. Inhale through your nose, and as you exhale through your mouth, let that specific memory soften. Let the sharp edges blur. Because what if I told you that the universe wasn't delivering a verdict? What if it was delivering a gift? A disguised, poorly wrapped, and initially painful gift, but a gift nonetheless. What if that slammed door wasn't a rejection, but a redirection? What if that crumbling path wasn't an ending, but the forced beginning of the path you were always meant to walk? This sounds like a paradox, a convenient story we tell ourselves to feel better. But the deepest wisdom of life is often wrapped in paradox. The ancient Stoic philosophers knew this. They taught that the obstacle in the path becomes the path. They understood that we don't control what happens to us, but we have total, unshakable control over what we make of what happens to us. It is within this sacred space of interpretation that we find the alchemy to turn lead into gold, pain into purpose, and failure into gratitude. Over the next few minutes, we are not just going to talk about this idea, we are going to embark on a journey to embody it. We will dissect the anatomy of our disappointments, explore the hidden mechanics of rejection, and redefine our entire relationship with failure. This isn't about platitudes or toxic positivity. This is about forging an unbreakable resilience, a profound wisdom that can only be found in the fire of adversity. Are you ready to revisit your scars, not as reminders of what you lost, but as the intricate map that led you to who you are today? If you are on a quest for deeper emotional stability, for clarity amidst the chaos of life, and for the tools to navigate the inevitable storms, then you are in the right place. So, take a moment to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Because with every conversation we have, we are building, brick by brick, a stronger inner citadel and a wiser way of seeing the world. 1. The anatomy of disappointment, the chasm between expectation and reality. Before we can be grateful for what didn't work out, we must first understand why it hurts so much when it doesn't. The pain of disappointment is one of the most universal human experiences. Its source is simple yet profound. It is born in the chasm between our expectations and our reality. We are all architects of the future. In the quiet workshop of our minds, we draft intricate blueprints for our lives. We design the floor plan of our career, choose the decor of our relationships, and landscape the garden of our personal growth. We don't just hope for these futures, we invest in them. We pour the concrete of our efforts, lay the bricks of our time, and install the wiring of our emotions. These mental constructions become so real to us that we begin to live in them long before they materialize. I remember spending a year building one such mental edifice. It was a plan to move to a new city. I didn't just plan it, I inhabited it. I researched neighborhoods, visualized my morning walk to a specific cafe, imagined the friendships I would form, and felt the pride of succeeding in a new environment. This future was not a possibility. In my mind, it was a certainty I was simply walking towards. When a series of external events, completely outside my control, made the move impossible, the collapse was not just logistical. It was emotional. It felt like my home had burned down, even though that home had only ever existed in my mind. What I was experiencing was the pain of attachment to an outcome. The Stoics had a powerful framework for this. The philosopher Epictetus taught that the chief task in life is to separate things into two categories: those that are up to us and those that are not. In our power are our judgments, our intentions, our desires, our aversions, essentially our own actions and inner world. Not in our power are our bodies, our possessions, our reputations, and the outcomes of our actions in the world. He argued that all human misery stems from a single error: trying to control what we cannot and neglecting what we can. Our detailed blueprints for the future are a form of trying to control the uncontrollable. We believe that if our efforts are pure enough, if our planning is meticulous enough, the universe owes us the result we've designed. Disappointment is the universe's blunt and often painful way of reminding us of the terms of our contract with reality. We are responsible for the effort, not the outcome. Accepting this is not a call to apathy. It is not about ceasing to dream or plan. It is a call to a more intelligent way of engaging with life. It's the difference between being a rigid architect and a skilled sailor. The rigid architect draws a plan and is shattered when an earthquake changes the landscape. The skilled sailor has a destination in mind but knows they do not control the wind or the waves. Their skill lies not in commanding the sea, but in constantly adjusting their sails to navigate the conditions they are given. They are attached to the journey and the practice of sailing well, not to a specific, unchangeable route. The first step toward gratitude for a closed door is to recognize that our pain comes from our attachment to that specific door. The no from the world hurts because it shatters our illusion of control. But in doing so, it offers us a profound liberation. It invites us to pull our energy back from the external world of outcomes and reinvest it in the internal world of our character, our resilience, and our responses. This is the only ground on which we can ever truly stand firm. A practical way to cultivate this is through the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. By occasionally imagining things not working out, not to be morbid but to be prepared, we loosen our emotional grip on our expectations. We mentally rehearse adjusting our sails so when the wind inevitably changes, we are not thrown overboard. 2. The compass of rejection, a guide, not a judgment. Rejection feels like a judgment. It feels personal, precise, and cutting. Whether it comes from a potential employer, a romantic interest, or a social circle, the message our brain receives is primal and terrifying: you are not wanted. You do not belong. Our evolutionary wiring is designed to equate belonging with survival. For our ancestors, being cast out from the tribe was a death sentence. It's no wonder that the modern-day equivalent, a rejection letter, a breakup, being unfriended, can trigger such a profound sense of panic and worthlessness. We perceive rejection as a mirror reflecting a fatal flaw in ourselves. If only I were smarter, more charming, more attractive, then I would have been accepted. We internalize the no as a final verdict on our intrinsic value. But this is a catastrophic misunderstanding of what rejection truly is. Rejection is not a mirror, it is a compass. It is not a verdict on your worth, it is information about your alignment. Imagine you are a key forged with a unique and specific pattern. You spend your life trying to fit into a lock that looks shiny and desirable. You try to force it, jiggle it, even file down your own edges to try and make it fit. When the lock refuses to turn, you conclude, I am a bad key. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you are a perfectly good key, but you are trying to open the wrong door. The lock's refusal is not a judgment on your quality as a key, it is simply a statement of incompatibility. Rejection is life's way of telling you that you are trying to open the wrong door. It is saving you from a place where you would have to contort yourself to fit in. That job with the prestigious title might have come with a toxic work culture that would have extinguished your passion. That relationship that looked perfect on the surface might have required you to shrink your ambitions or silence your voice. Rejection is the universe's often unceremonious intervention, protecting you from a future of misalignment. It is a form of divine protection even if it feels like damnation at the time. Learning to see rejection this way requires a fundamental shift in the locus of your self-worth. As long as your sense of value is external, dependent on others' approval, acceptance, and validation, rejection will always have the power to destroy you. The work, then, is to painstakingly build your self-worth from the inside out. Is to know, on a cellular level, that you are a worthy key regardless of which doors you open. Your value is inherent in your existence, in your character, in your effort, not in your acceptance rate. When you operate from this place of internal validation, the experience of rejection transforms. It ceases to be a source of shame and becomes a source of data. You can look at the situation with curiosity instead of devastation. Okay, that didn't work. What can I learn from this? Is there a skill I need to improve? Or is this simply a sign that my energy is needed elsewhere? The question shifts from "what's wrong with me?" to "what is this trying to teach me?" One day you will look back at the rejections that once broke your heart and you will see them for what they were: cosmic redirections. You will see that the closed door forced you down a hallway that led to a room that was more beautiful and more authentically you than the one you were trying to break into. And for that guidance, for that tough love compass that pointed you away from what was wrong for you, you will feel a profound and surprising sense of gratitude. 3. The alchemy of failure, turning the lead of defeat into the gold of wisdom. Our society has a toxic relationship with failure. We treat it like a disease, something to be avoided at all costs and hidden in shame when it occurs. We curate our lives, especially on social media, to present a highlight reel of successes, victories, and perfect moments. We create the illusion that a good life is a life without failure. This is one of the most debilitating lies we tell ourselves. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is an essential ingredient of it. It is the messy, painful, and indispensable process through which all meaningful growth occurs. Success is a poor teacher. It often just confirms our existing biases and inflates our ego. It tells us, keep doing what you're doing. But what if what you're doing is only scratching the surface of your potential? Failure, on the other hand, is a master instructor. It is a harsh but fair mentor that forces us to stop, to look, to listen, and to learn. The lessons of failure are manifold, and they are the building blocks of a resilient and wise character. Let's unpack its gifts. First, failure teaches humility. It is the ultimate antidote to hubris. It reminds us that we are not infallible, that our knowledge is limited, and that we are always students in the school of life. This humility is not weakness. It is the fertile ground from which true confidence grows. A confidence not based on a perfect track record, but on the knowledge that you can survive and learn from your mistakes. Second, failure builds resilience. Resilience is not the absence of adversity, it is the ability to bounce back from it. It is a psychological muscle. And like any muscle, it only grows when it is tested against resistance. Every time you fail and choose to get back up, you are doing another repetition. You are strengthening your capacity to withstand hardship. The person who has never failed has an atrophied resilience muscle. They are brittle. The person who has failed and recovered is tempered like steel. Third, failure provides clarity. Often we pursue goals not because they are authentically ours, but because they are prescribed by society, family, or our own ego. Failure can be a powerful clarifying agent. When you pour your heart into something and it doesn't work out, it forces you to ask the hard questions. Do I truly want this? Is it worth the struggle? Or was I chasing it for the wrong reasons? Sometimes, failure is the liberation from a dream that wasn't actually yours to begin with. Fourth, failure fosters creativity. When the well-trodden path is blocked, you are forced to become an explorer. You have to find new routes, invent new tools, and see the landscape from a different perspective. Failure shatters your assumptions and forces you to think outside the box. Every great innovation, from science to art, is built upon a mountain of failed experiments. These weren't failures, they were data points that guided the creator toward the solution. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, failure cultivates empathy. When you have known the sting of defeat, the shame of making a mistake, you become infinitely more compassionate toward the struggles of others. Your own failures carve out space in your heart for understanding. You move from a place of judgment to a place of connection. It's the shared experience of imperfection that truly binds us as human beings. To be grateful for your failures is to be grateful for your education. A practical exercise is to create a failure resume. On one side of a page, list your significant failures, the projects that bombed, the goals you didn't reach, the relationships that ended. On the other side, for each one, write what you learned. What skill did you gain? What character trait did you develop? What insight did you acquire that you would not have otherwise? You will quickly see that your failures have given you far more than your successes ever could. They are the source of your deepest wisdom and your greatest strength. For the lens of time, how perspective heals and reveals. In the immediate aftermath of something not working out, our perspective is incredibly narrow. We are standing in the epicenter of the emotional earthquake, and all we can see is the wreckage around us. The pain feels all-consuming, the consequences seem catastrophic, and the future appears bleak. It's like being lost in a thick fog. We can only see a few feet in any direction, and every shadow looks like a monster. This is the tyranny of the present moment. Time is the great healer, not because it magically erases the past, but because it provides the gift of perspective. It allows us to climb out of the foggy valley and onto the mountaintop. From that vantage point, we can look back and see the entire landscape. We see that the fog was confined to a small area. We see the path that led us into it, and more importantly, the path that led us out. We can see how that foggy valley was a necessary part of a much longer, more beautiful journey. Think back to a crisis from your life 5, 10, or even 15 years ago. A situation that, at the time, you believed you would never recover from. A breakup that felt like a physical amputation. A professional failure that you thought would permanently stain your reputation. A financial struggle that filled you with sleepless nights of anxiety. Now, from the vantage point of today, look at that event. What does it look like? For most of us, the emotional charge has faded. The catastrophe has shrunk into a mere anecdote. More than that, we can often trace a direct line from that very crisis to something positive in our present lives. That brutal breakup taught you what you truly need in a partner and led you to the healthy relationship you have now. That professional failure forced you to pivot into a career that brings you more fulfillment than the old one ever could have. That financial struggle taught you invaluable lessons about resourcefulness and value that made you more secure today. This is what Steve Jobs meant in his famous Stanford commencement address when he spoke about connecting the dots. He said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future." The things that don't work out are the dots. In the moment they appear, they seem random, cruel, and meaningless. They feel like mistakes in the grand design. But trust is the key. Trust that every dot, no matter how painful, has its place in the masterpiece of your life. We can practice this wisdom in the present moment by using a mental tool like the October 10th 10 rule. When faced with a setback, ask yourself, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes? How will I feel about it in 10 months? And how will I feel about it in 10 years? This exercise acts as a mental time machine. It instantly pulls you out of the emotional fog and into the clear air of the mountaintop. It reminds you that the intensity of your current feeling is temporary. It reassures you that what feels like a mountain today will look like a molehill from the perspective of your future self. To be grateful for what didn't work out is to be grateful for the wisdom that only hindsight can provide. It's an act of trusting the process, even when it's painful. It's the faith that the dots are not random splatters of ink, but the deliberate strokes of a story that is still being written. A story that will only make sense when you have the perspective to read the entire page. 5. The forge of the soul, character and the resistance of adversity. There is a profound difference between a life of ease and a life of meaning. While our instincts may crave comfort, safety, and a complete absence of struggle, our souls crave growth, strength, and purpose. And these qualities are never, ever forged in comfort. Character is not a gift, it is a victory. It is the result of wrestling with difficulty and choosing to respond with virtue. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The process is violent. The raw metal is subjected to intense, overwhelming heat. It is then pulled from the fire and beaten relentlessly with a hammer. It is plunged into cold water, creating a painful shock. This process is repeated over and over. A spectator might see only violence and destruction. But the blacksmith knows that this is the only way to transform a lump of brittle iron into a sharp, resilient, and unbreakable blade. Adversity is the forge of the human soul. The things that don't work out are the fire and the hammer. Life's challenges heat us up, forcing our impurities to the surface. The blows of failure and rejection hammer us into shape, testing our limits. The shocks of loss cool us down, tempering our spirit. It is through this brutal, beautiful process that we develop the virtues that give life meaning. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in spite of it. It can only be cultivated when you are faced with something that terrifies you. Patience is not developed when things go smoothly, it is forged in the fires of frustration, delay, and waiting. Compassion is not an abstract idea, it is often born from the deep, personal understanding of suffering. Our own wounds teach us how to tend to the wounds of others. Perseverance cannot be learned from a book, it is learned by falling down 19 times and choosing to get up for the 20th. When something doesn't work out, we are presented with a sacred choice. We can see it as a misfortune, a curse, a reason to become bitter and cynical. Or we can see it as a training ground. We can ask the most powerful question there is, what virtue is this situation asking me to practice? Is this an opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness, humility, courage? By reframing adversity as a curriculum for our character, we transform from victims of fate into active students of life. This idea is mirrored in the modern psychological concept of post-traumatic growth, PTG. Researchers have found that many people who experience traumatic events report positive changes in the aftermath. They develop a greater appreciation for life, deeper relationships, a stronger sense of personal strength, and a more profound sense of purpose. The trauma itself is not good, but it acts as a catalyst that forces a re-evaluation of one's entire life, leading to incredible growth. What didn't work out, even in the most extreme ways, can become the catalyst for becoming a more profound version of yourself. To be grateful for what didn't work out is to be grateful for the blacksmith's fire. Is to look at the strength, resilience, and compassion you now possess and to honor the difficult experiences that forged them. Your character is the magnificent sword you carry through life. And you can thank the hammer and the flame for its unbreakable strength. 6. The ultimate embrace. Amor fati and the love of what is. We have now arrived at the summit of this philosophical mountain, at the most challenging and most liberating concept of all. Amor fati. It is a Latin phrase championed by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, which translates to a love of one's fate. This is not mere acceptance. It is not passive resignation. It is not gritting your teeth and tolerating what has happened. It is an active, joyful, and unconditional embrace of your life in its totality. It is wanting nothing to be different, not the past, not the present, not the future. It is to look upon your entire life with all its triumphs and all its tragedies, all its beauty and all its pain, and to say with your whole being, yes, I would live it all again. Every last second. This is the ultimate rebellion against the human tendency to live in a state of resistance. We resist our past, wishing we had made different choices. We resist our present, wishing our circumstances were better. We resist our future, fearing what it might bring. This constant state of war with reality is the primary source of our anxiety and suffering. Amor fati is the declaration of peace. How is this possible? How can one love the things that didn't work out, the moments of profound loss, the experiences of deep pain? The key is to see your life not as a series of isolated, disconnected events, but as an intricate, inseparable tapestry. Every thread is essential to the final picture. The dark threads of sorrow and failure are not mistakes. They are what give the bright threads of joy and success their definition and their beauty. To wish away a single difficult experience would be to unravel the entire masterpiece, to alter the very person you have become. When something doesn't work out, the amor fati perspective doesn't say, "Good, I'm glad that happened." It says, "This happened, and it is therefore a necessary part of my story. It is a piece of the puzzle of me. I will not waste a single moment of my precious life energy wishing it were otherwise. Instead, I will embrace it. I will learn from it. I will integrate it. I will use it as fuel. I will love it because it is mine." This is the culmination of our entire journey. Loving your fate is possible only when you have understood the illusion of control, when you have seen rejection as a compass, when you have learned from the alchemy of failure, when you have the perspective of time, and when you have used adversity to forge your character. It is the final, powerful integration of all this wisdom into a singular philosophy of life. Conclusion: the symphony of a life fully lived. We began our journey in the dark, in the painful memory of a door slamming shut. We have traveled through the landscapes of philosophy, psychology, and personal reflection. And now we stand at a new vantage point. From here, the things that didn't work out no longer look like failures. They look like plot twists. They look like character development. They look like the necessary tension that makes a story compelling. Your life is not a checklist of achievements to be ticked off. It is a symphony. A symphony has moments of soaring triumph and moments of quiet melancholy. It has passages of jarring dissonance and passages of perfect harmony. To wish away the difficult parts would be to wish for a symphony with only one note. It would be to wish for a story with no conflict. It would be to wish for a life that was flat, colorless, and ultimately meaningless. To be grateful for what didn't work out is the ultimate act of self-acceptance. It is to be grateful for the entire, messy, beautiful, painful, glorious symphony of your life. It is to recognize that the person you are today, stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more resilient, was born directly from the ashes of what didn't work out. Those endings were not endings at all. They were beginnings in disguise. So, I invite you now to take one final, deep breath, and bring to mind that same memory you started with. That same closed door. But look at it now through these new eyes. See the path it forced you onto. See the strength it demanded from you. See the person it helped you become. Can you find, in a quiet corner of your heart, a flicker of gratitude for that closed door? What is the greatest failure of your past that has become the biggest blessing in your present? Share your story in the comments below. Your journey of connecting the dots can be the inspiration that helps someone else trust in their own. Let's create a space that celebrates not just our successes, but the profound wisdom born from our struggles. Remember, your path is not flawed. Every twist, every turn, every dead end was part of the map. It was all leading you here. And for that complete, unedited, perfectly imperfect journey, you have every reason to be profoundly, deeply grateful. Until next time.